Welcome to the Morale Booster Network, a platform for entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, and the general public to give back to the society through coaching and mentoring. I remain your host, Dr. John Ugulu. I am an author, speaker, and strategist. I always say experience is the best teacher. You can stream or download this podcast from YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Player FM, and Pandora. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Morale Booster Podcast. I am your host, Dr. John Ugulu, the Morale Booster. In this season of From Idea to Impact, we will be exploring the possibilities of navigating the journeys of an author. We will dive deep into the creative process, the challenges, and the triumphs that come with bringing a book to life. We all know it's not easy to bring a book to life. So when you have people who have already done that, it's very important to learn from them and hear what they did to bring their books to life. So in this episode, we are thrilled to welcome our guest author, Jessilyn Persson. She is a coach and an author, and we will be sharing just some key information, key details on how she was able to bring her book to life. Ladies and gentlemen, she's in Canada. After 2 decades of experience in the corporate and public sectors, Jessilyn hit a breaking point, just like so many others. She was overwhelmed by workplace harassment, running a side business, and raising 2 young boys. And this intense stress led to burnout. And we all know that burnout is real. Now, during hard recovery, she and her husband, Brian, made the pivotal decision to build their own business. And drawing on their leadership skills, financial educational expertise, and success in real estate investing, they now empower couples to create transformative wealth plans. And their mission is to help couples accelerate financial growth by aligning money mindsets, developing strategic wealth plans, and also offering personalized guidance to achieve a life of freedom and abundance. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please join me as I welcome Jessilyn Persson to my show. Welcome, Jessilyn. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm great, thank you.
Yes. Now, I really do appreciate you for joining me on this program. And we will be touching a bit of the workplace burnout, even though, we will be looking into your journey as an author. Now, we know workplace burnout is real,
Yes.
but a lot of people, so many people and so many employers hardly talk about this. And do you have an idea why this is still a major issue?
I think it's a combination of the stress we put on ourselves, the expectation. I know that was part of mine, is I just thought I could do it all. And because I was a high achiever, management kept giving me more, and I didn't say no. And so part of that was absolutely my responsibility, not learning my boundaries and how much of a workload I could handle. And then not wanting to look bad, right? There's some ego involved there where I was like, no, I can do all this. And then you get to a breaking point to realize, oh, wait, no, like I can't. I just physically couldn't do it. But they had these expectations, and that I set that up, right? Not knowing at the time that I couldn't do as many projects as they had expected. And so by the time I got to the breaking point, it was already too late. And that's where I got the burnout, and my body, because I wasn't listening to it, just shut me down. And so I was really sick for a couple of months, figuring out what happened and what was going on. And it was all stress induced, because of the pressure I was putting on myself and the hours I was putting in and not taking any breaks or any rest, and just powering through for months on end until my body just said, all right, you're not listening to me. I'll take you out and you'll listen. Yeah.
Yes, and too many people out of desperation, you know, you come into an organization thinking that you would be able to, get everything done. Then at the end of the day, you realize that, oh, this is way more than you bargained for. So now, what advice would you be willing to share with anybody who is going through workplace burnout?
Yeah. So firstly, know yourself well enough to know your capabilities, and better yet, your boundaries. Be okay with no. And you're doing a good job already. Just because they asked you to take on more doesn't mean you need to say yes. And that's kind of the trap I fell into, thinking like, oh, maybe I'm not doing enough. Do they want to keep me around? Like, there's fear of losing your job, which of course affords your family and to support them. And generally speaking, we're already doing a lot. And then if you're raising a family and a side business, it's a lot. So make sure you're taking breaks, micro breaks, but also major breaks. Like, don't be working 7 days a week. It's just not healthy. And definitely don't be working from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. You need to take that downtime, whether it's dinner, going for a walk, make sure you include your exercise, journaling, whatever it is that you do to de-stress, because it will build up and build up to a point where it has negative impacts to your body physically and mentally, and you don't want to be there. So learn to say no and learn to take breaks.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. In fact, there is a post that I put up today. I would like to read this for you and the audience to hear it. It says, if you do not make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. Yes.
100%.
So, yes. So let me read it one more time. I don't know who's listening to this program right now, but I want to read it one more time because I know someone out there can benefit from this message. And this message says, if you do not make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. Think about it. I don't know who's listening to me right now. This could be very helpful to somebody you know. And for those of you who are listening to us right now, please like and share this broadcast because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear this message. Like and share the broadcast. Thank you. We're still on air with Jessilyn Persson. She is an author. She is the author of Super Mom, Super Me. Super Mom, Super Me. So, Jesselyn, please tell us a bit about your book. What inspired you to write that book? It's typically not easy to become an author. If someone had told me so many years ago that I would write a book, I would not have believed it. Coupled with my extremely busy schedule and family and life challenges, So tell us what inspired you, despite your busy schedule, your life, what inspired you to write that book?
So, yes, I agree with everything going on between work and family. A lot of people think it's impossible. They don't have the time to write a book. And I think it comes down to first the inspiration and then the commitment to follow. And I'd been inspired for a couple of years when I looked around the rooms and saw that there were very few women at the table, very few women in the executive roles that I was in. And I just went like, why? We need more women in these roles. And so then I was like, okay, then maybe I need to be one of those women who's the mentor, who's the person who speaks up. So these women know that they have a chance, that they can step into these roles, that they can speak up, they can be in these positions. And so I was like, all right, I'm a mom, I'm a career mom, and I had a lot of challenges trying to juggle both those roles. And there are a lot of things that I came up against throughout my journey of being a career mom. And at some point, I just went, wait a minute, this isn't right. Like, we can have both. And there are a lot of things that we're told or we hear growing up that aren't true. So I wrote the book, Super Mom, Super Me, and I actually go in there and I bust myths. And my goal with this is to help women understand that first and foremost, you're a mom, you're already amazing, period. Everything to do with being a mom by far is the hardest job I've had, and I've had some amazing career jobs. But to raise tiny humans is a whole different job, and to do that is an incredible place to be and an amazing job. And so in my book, excuse me, I go through and I just bust myths to help women understand that just because you hear this or you were raised this way, or maybe your family believes it, doesn't make it true. And then I share my stories on why it didn't work for me or why it wasn't true for me. And in there, to encourage them to just review and reflect on themselves. If they're thinking or going through any of these things, is it true for them? Because it likely is not. It's just a perspective or something we perceive or believe. And then in there, I'm hoping their journey, they can shift their mindset to understand that they can change whatever situation they're in. They have the choice to change that and be who they want to be, do what they want to do, how they want to do it, and it's going to be okay. So that's kind of where I was really inspired. And then from there, that's where I started my journey to become an author.
All right, that's a good story, and there's so many people out there who actually are going through what you just outlined there, and it's always a good thing when we have people who are willing to use their own experience to help others navigate turbulent waters. So thank you so much for going ahead to publish that book. There's so many people who have ideas, who have life stories, life experiences, who know that it is a good thing to write a book, to put all that in a book for others, for the benefit of others. But these people always go through challenges. They always allow the challenges hold them back. They always allow, all kinds of complaints, procrastination prevent them from embarking on this journey of writing down their story. Now, can you share some of the biggest challenges you faced in your writing journey and how you overcame them?
Yes, I think one of the big ones was probably belief. So I knew I wanted to write a book, and one thing I had to get over, and I actually had someone ask me after I'd already written it and published it, and well-meaning person, but he says to me, he goes, "Who are you to write a book?" And I looked at him and I reversed it on him. I said, "Who are you not to? You have a story and a journey to share that can help others, even if you help one person." I said, "You've changed someone's lives." And he just
Mm,
kind of gave this look like, oh, but I had to believe in that myself. Who am I to share my stories? And then I was like, no, I'm someone who had challenges and I was willing to share them. And I know it can help other women. And so was it easy? No, because of course I was still raising two young boys and still had a job. But I had to break it down into bite-sized pieces and do a little bit at a time. And I'm very grateful. I live in the world I do with technology, so I could just record it. I wasn't having to sit there, write it all out by hand, and then from there dictate it and edit it. Then from there, I mean, it still takes time. So as you start to refine and get through the first chapter, a lot of it wasn't sitting right with me. And so finally, when I'm working with my publisher, it was kind of like, okay, let's just stop chapter 1. Let's move on to chapter 2, see if something there triggers some inspiration on the way we really want this book to come together. And it did. So then we went back to chapter 1. But like, if I had just said, this isn't working, let's just stop, I wouldn't have my book. Right. And so then as we get through, and it went pretty smooth after that in terms of writing the chapters. But then we ran into issues with layout and, of course, trying to get that configured the way it was supposed to be. And then the file got corrupt. So we had to start over with all the layout. That was 7 months. Right. But these are things you can't predict. And these are also the things you don't want to stop you. It's like, you've already done the hard part. That's getting the words on the pages and it's edited. Now it's kind of up to the publishing side, but it still can be frustrating from my perspective because I had planned my book launch, then I had to delay it and delay it again. And finally it's like, okay, this book will be here. I promise you guys, it's written. But there are some unknowns. And when you're going in to write a book, you need to give yourself the space to be open to what's going to come to you and the challenges that might arise that are out of your control. And if you just accept it, it will still all work out. But I think sometimes we let our impatience get in the way, or our ego. Maybe sometimes you think, maybe you could have done it better, but sometimes time doesn't allow that, or we don't have the skill set. So I would encourage you, absolutely, everyone has a story in them. And if you can change one life with it or inspire one person, that's worth it. So I would say get it on paper, but don't pressure yourself to get it all done in a month because that's not realistic. Like my book took at least a year from when I decided, okay, let's do this, to getting it onto paper, formatting and editing it. That took a lot of time as well. So sure, some people might be able to do it sooner, but when I talk to other authors, most of them say like minimum a year. Unless you're like dedicated full time, have no kids, no job, then maybe you can spit it out quicker. But it's a journey, and I would encourage you to enjoy the journey as you're doing it, because you could be halfway through and things can change. And I say that because I started a book, I think it was a year and a half prior to deciding to do this book, and none of that book is in this book. Once I talked to my publisher, I shifted the whole idea of what I wanted to get out. Now that's a book for another day. It didn't end up being this book, and that's okay. And I also wrote a lot of what I thought for this book. No, we probably took a third of what I wrote to put it into the book because my publisher is like, that is way too much, Jess. She goes, we could make books out of what you wrote here. I was like, oh, really?
Yes, and we're always careful about that because you don't want to put everything out there, because that could be just that little thing could be another book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. You talked about, first of all, people not believing in you. I think it's always very common for those of us in the personal development space to have friends, family members, colleagues, acquaintances not believe in, our um, our decision and commitment to entering into the personal development space. So that resonates with me. I remember when I first decided I was going to be a coach, everyone around me were like, they thought I was crazy. Like, a coach, you, like, who are you going to coach when you can't even coach yourself? it, it's it's always like that. And thank you for sharing that. So to all the aspiring authors out there, it's possible for you to experience those same challenges. People might not believe in you. Not just people. The most painful part is that the people who would not believe in you the most are those who are so close to you. So expect that. Thank you for sharing that. And you also talked about planning ahead and um, not allowing one talk themselves out of the dream, thinking they do not have everything they need, which means there'll never be a perfect time to get started,
Correct.
right? If you're waiting for the perfect time, I don't know who's listening to us right now. She has just told us that if we're waiting for the perfect time, it will not come. There will never be a perfect time. So just get started. If you experience writer's block when writing chapter one, don't worry, don't sweat it. Move to the next one. Something might happen in that next chapter that would trigger the information or that would generate the information you need to overcome the writer's block on the previous chapter. So just keep going. That's what she said. She experienced a lot of writer's block as well. Every writer experiences that. So when you're going through that, don't let it bother you. And you talked about not doing it hastily, take your time. For me, my goal is to publish one book every year, at least one book every year. For now, it will increase over time to two and to three. It all depends on how soon I am able to build that team. So
Yeah.
I typically give myself around a year. So when I publish any book, from the day that book is published, I immediately start writing for my next book. That's the book. My goal is to publish my book, at least one book, May or June every year. So the book
Okay.
I will be publishing in May of next year, we're already working on it. We've been working on it since May of this year, so it will be published May of next year. So thank you for sharing all those beautiful nuggets. That will take me to my next question. um, Now, how has your writing process evolved over time? And what have you learned about yourself as a writer along the way?
So that's a great question. I've always, in some capacity, I guess, been a writer, just never a full book at the time. And I didn't realize it, right? Because I do a different career that I jumped into when I was younger, and not giving myself the space to accept and appreciate that my creativity is in my writing, right?
Hmm.
Um, and thinking I wasn't creative. I mean, there's a lot of creatives in my family, artists. Both my mom and my younger sister are very artistic, very. And I'll give you stick man, right? So I was kind of thinking like I wasn't creative, but I learned creativity comes in different avenues. Like for me, it's writing and baking. Super creative there. That's where I put my creative energy. And as I'm getting older and writing more, I'm learning, okay, what is it I want to share in the world? How can I give back? How can I serve others? And can I make that a book so it's always accessible? Right? Because that's kind of the goal, is like the more people I can help, the better. And the better I've been in this world, and the better I've left this world when it's my time. Um, my goal is to eventually write more books. But of course, right now, with my company and my kids, I don't quite have the space and it's not the focus. But I do have another book or five in me. And the ideas, they constantly are there and they're coming. And so I'll note them. But it's just a matter of prioritizing. So I'm not sure how you do one a year. I guess if you say you have a team, that's a little different because it's just me.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. As we grow in whatever we do, it's always best for us to understand the importance of delegation, time management, because we only have 24 hours every day.
Yeah.
So the ability for us to utilize the 24 hours, incorporate everything we actually want to accomplish into that 24 hours, the better. I know we cannot control time. None of us can control time. Neither you nor myself nor the people who are listening to us. It's made that way. We cannot control time, but there is absolutely something, or there are some things we can control. We can control our activities, right? So,
Right.
because I knew I wanted to write so many books, because every human being has tons and thousands of books in their head.
Yes.
You might just be having coffee, and the next thing you're thinking, how can having coffee impact lives? You're already thinking of, and you're writing that topic down. So
Yep.
I have a team. I have a team. What I do is I do the voice, I do a recording. When it
Yep.
comes to my head, I just I record it on my phone immediately and send that recording to to my team members, and they are the ones who will now put it together. So I come up with the ideas, I record them. So on my phone, I record as much as I possibly can. When it comes in, I record, and they take care of it from there.
Perfect.
And it's been awesome. That has been helping me manage my time. That has been helping me uh, put all my ideas together.
Yeah, I agree.
So now,
Delegation is key. But
yes,
you need a team for that.
delegation is key. Delegation is key. And sometimes when I feel that, oh, I might forget, when I write it down, I'll say, okay, this one will not go into a book. This will be an article. you
Yeah,
know, yes. So I just don't allow any thought to get wasted.
that's
It's either
perfect.
going to go into my book or it's going to be an article. Short article. It could be
Yep,
like a LinkedIn article. Just short.
exactly.
I make sure I write. I make sure I write. I'm always writing. So yes, that's my own strategy. So now, what do you think about feedback from readers? What role do you think feedback from readers or other writers has played in your development as an author?
Oh, I think feedback is critical for a couple reasons. One, firstly, for those who have had positive feedback, it is just helps reiterate that you did the right thing. It was good for you to share that story. You've changed lives, you've helped them. And so it's an inspiration to you to accept that what you did was amazing, but also I think depending on their feedback, they might give you other ideas on, okay, what's in your next book? Oh,
Mhm.
they want to learn about this, or they want to hear about that, or need help with something. Do you have that expertise? Is that something that you're passionate about or you could speak to? Perfect. Now you can write another book for for the public and for your audience. So I think feedback
Right.
is great. Also, like if there's critical feedback, which of course we'll always probably have some, I think it's great
Uh-huh.
to reflect on it and just see firstly, like, is it valid? Like maybe there's things you can change or tweak for the next book. But also it's a lesson of
Right.
if it's good feedback, like if it's a negative person, for example, I would just encourage people that it's likely going to happen, and that is not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of themselves and what maybe they didn't
Uh,
accomplish, and not to take it to heart. I say that it's not easy. I know I've been there, and but it's understanding that you've done well, you've given back, and there's always going to be, as people say, there's always going to be a hater, and that's okay. They're not your people. Let that go and just
mm.
look at all the positive people you've had an impact on.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still with Jessilyn Persson. She is the author of. We already gave you the link to the book. She is the author of Super Mom, Super Me, and you can get this book from her website, jessilynpearson.com. The website is currently being displayed on the screen for those of you who are watching the video. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast right now, You would find all the information below. It's right there on the caption. If you have any questions regarding her book, what she does, feel free to always reach out to her. She is on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Now, Jocelyn, I know you have a product you want to talk about. You want to share with our audience. Could you please tell us what that is? I know you have some good products, good services that you want to share with them.
Yes, thank you. So my husband and I, we are coaches that we help couples and individuals build their wealth. And through our program, it is a lot around money mindset and then wealth strategies. So we help you understand that there's abundance everywhere, and we help you understand where your stories come from, and then look at you holistically, whether it's you and your partner, your family, what your goals are, whether it's to retire early, launch your own business, multiple streams of income, retire early, leave a legacy for your family, or give back to charities in big ways. Whatever your wealth strategy is, we help you build that so you can build your wealth. So with us, if you go to discoverlifebydesign.ca/wealth, that's where we have a free download where you can learn the 3 mistakes that couples have when trying to achieve their wealth. And of course, on our website, discoverlifebydesign.ca, you can go there and also book a discovery call with us, which is free, and we can help you figure out what it is you need next to start building your wealth.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, she has asked us to visit their website, discoverlifebydesign.ca. She is based in Canada. Discoverlifebydesign.ca. Go right there and see what they have for you. And also follow her on Instagram and Facebook while we're still on. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, as part of our procedures, we typically ask our guests to share some words of encouragement to those people who are listening. So, looking back on your own journey, Jesselyn, what advice would you give to aspiring writers who are just starting out?
So I would encourage you to just get started. Um, we all have, like John said, 24 hours in a day. Now, if you take even 10 minutes a day and just start jotting notes down or recording on your phone, um, it will add up over time. And before you know it, you'll have a novel in your phone that can get edited. But just get started. Know you can do it. You have the story in you. Just take one small step every day, and that will compound into that book that you want to produce.
Yes, I agree with you on that. Thank you so much for sharing one step at a time. And always remember that there'll never be a perfect time. Never.
Correct.
My communication mentor, Mr. Les Brown, would always remind us that if we do what is easy, our lives will be hard. And if we do what is hard, our lives will be easy. I know someone out there might be wondering, how would you say, if I do what is easy, my life will be hard? And if I do what is hard, my life will be easy. It's supposed to be the other way around, right? No. But guess what? I want to share with you who's listening to me right now some examples of the easy things that if we do would make our lives hard. Number one, easy thing that can make your life hard is procrastination. It's very easy to procrastinate, right? Very,
Yes.
very easy. We do that like that's one of the easiest things to do. It's also very easy to blame others for our
Mhm.
mistakes. It's easy for us to blame other people for anything, right? It's very easy. So if we do any of those easy things, our lives will be hard. But if we do hard things, it's very hard to wake up and say, hey, even though I do not have all what I need, I will get started anyhow. It's very hard to do that, especially if you are a perfectionist, right?
Yes.
It's also very hard to say, hey, I work 10 to 12 hours, I have a child, how can I write the book? So it's hard to get started. It's easy to complain. It's hard to get started. So that's where it comes from. You who's listening to us right now, choose the hard things that can make your life easy. They say everything that has a beginning would surely have an end. Thank you so much, Jessilyn, for joining me on this program. I hope when next I invite you, you will be willing to come over and talk about your coaching program.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is the Morale Booster podcast. Like and share it because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear the message that we have. So, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Morale Booster podcast. For you who's listening to me right now, I don't know what you know about yourself, neither do I know what the people around you know about you. But here is one thing that I know for sure about you who's listening to me right now. I know you have greatness within you. I know you have everything you need within you to start acting on your dreams, your goals, and your visions. You have greatness in you. And remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Thank you, everybody. Stay blessed and bye for now.